Recap of our top business story today. Singtel's net profit fell in the first half, ended September in the absence of a one-off gain logged in the same period last year. Last year, the company recorded a 1.2 billion Sing dollar exceptional gain from reducing its effective equity interest in its associate Telkomsel. Excluding that one-off gain, the telco's underlying profit was up 6%. Operating revenue was nearly 7 billion Sing dollars, stable compared to last year. The telco provider declared an interim dividend of 7 cents per share. That's up 35% compared to a year ago. And for a closer look at its latest numbers, we are joined now by Singtel Group Chief Financial Officer Arthur Lang. Arthur, thanks for joining us this morning on CNA. Let's first talk about Singtel's first half FY 2025 net profit. So coming in at 1.23 billion, which is a decrease of more than 40% from the same period last year due to a one-off gain then. Your outlook on subsequent earnings reports, the projected trajectory, which areas do you expect to see new or further growth? And I know that Optus and NCS was a bright spot. We will get to that in just a bit.
Sure, this morning. Sure, I think if you look going forward, you're right. I think as you mentioned, the net profit was down because of really the one-off gains from last year, but underlying profit was strong, very respectable 6% increase. I think what's worth calling out is the EBIT, which is the earnings before interest and tax. That was up a total of 27%. And it's really driven by Optus and NCS, as you have said. Now, if we look forward, I would say that the momentum will continue, particularly in Optus, as the enterprise business start ramping up. There have been some new wins coming up from various companies and government agencies in Australia. There is continued cost optimization that is happening. And in the mobile side as well, we're seeing quite a bit of strength in the postpaid business. So as a result of that, I think we will see momentum continuing for Optus in the second half of this year. And I think for the other businesses as well. I think things, while certain markets are quite challenging, we're quite optimistic with the way we are executing there. If you look at our regional associates business, the growth there is really based on market repair coming back for various countries, as well as a growth in the fixed broadband business. So we are narrowing our guidance on the upper end on EBIT. We're saying that we expect the full year EBIT to grow by low double digits. In the past, it was high single to low double. Now we're saying it's low double. So we're quite optimistic about the rest of the year.
Right, and you're also very optimistic about Optus as well as you talked about earlier in NCS. But Optus, your Australian unit, that's currently in a legal battle with the country's competition watchdog. How do you expect that to impact, of course, the business on that part?
No, I think we will, as you know, there are legal proceedings that are happening, so I can't really talk about much, but, basically, there's an investigation going on with regards to some of the sale practices and some of the misconduct. It is really localized on a few shops in Australia at Optus, and we are really cooperating with the authorities and the regulators to look into this. And then we will do what is necessary. We are in the process of remediating with our customers and actually reaching out to every single one of them. And we will continue to do that. So that's something we are watching, and we will give fullest cooperation to the folks involved.
Right. I also want to look at, investments on infrastructure and upgrades, whether there are plans to perhaps relook these current plans, especially in light of this landline outage last month that was reported to have been caused by a technical issue of a network component. And then last week also, Singtel had responded that it actually had detected and eradicated malware that was purportedly from Chinese state-sponsored hackers. So this is, of course, in response to that Bloomberg report that Singtel had been breached by a Chinese hacking group as part of a broader campaign against telcos. Given the growing sophistication in the methods used by bad actors, how is Singtel future-proofing its operating systems and the new measures in the pipeline? Do you foresee, more spending in this part?
That's a great point. I think we will continue to invest, irrespective of all these incidents and allegations that were made in the press. I think for us, network resilience is pivotal. It is very important for our business. Cybersecurity is a must-have. In fact, we work with a lot of industry partners, as well as continuing to adapt and adopt industry best practices when it comes to network resilience and cybersecurity. So it's something we do take very seriously. Investments will continue. And I think specifically on that point about the hacking incident, the malware was detected in June and was subsequently removed, and we informed the relevant authorities. Now, I cannot comment or confirm whether that was specific or is the same as the Bloomberg report that was talked about, but it is something to be very clear, no data was exfiltrated, as well as no impact to our services. It's, again, network resilience is something we take things very seriously, and we will continue to work with the regulators and the authorities on this.
Arthur, I just want to go back to a point that you made when you talked about the opportunities that you're seeing ahead for Singtel, and you said that you expect to see a bit of strength in the post-paid business. But I also like to talk about, the surge in travel, travel recovering to pre-pandemic levels, and more people are going to be using eSIM when they travel because of it's cheaper, it's more convenient. How big will this be in terms of competition for Singtel's data business? Is Singtel going to be looking at revising its business model in that aspect?
Well, the eSIM trend is something that has been happening, and you are absolutely right, Liz, that with travel, people will adopt more of that, and that's something we are definitely working together with the industry. eSIM players would require networks when they come to the countries that we are operating in, and that's how we can actually work with partners, to actually leverage on that industry trend. But at the same time, if you look at our postpaid business, particularly on roaming, and actually not just postpaid, prepaid as well, the roaming business has contributed substantially to Singtel's revenues and profits. And given the share that we have across both outbound and inbound tourists, I think it's something that is a trend. I think something that we are optimistic about. Everyone's all ready to travel at the end of this year, so we look forward to more business from that front. But the eSIM business is something that we are focused on and working with the various partners to also leverage on this increasing trend.
And also, just go back a little, take a closer look at the EBIT for the FY. So you guys are saying that it's going to come in the low double digits this financial year from an earlier projected range that is within high single digits to low double digits. So that is a more positive, more bullish outlook. How is Singtel navigating the macro environment, in particular, the volatility of the currency, given a projected strong USD after the US election? How do you expect this to affect your earnings ahead?
Well, I think the strength of the Singapore dollar has put some downward pressure on underlying profits. But at the end of the day, I think, first of all, we run a portfolio of various businesses across many different regions. So really, actually, our Singapore business is probably about 25% of overall regional international businesses. So we are always subject to currency fluctuations. I think what is important is our dividends. Whenever our overseas businesses declare the dividends, we will immediately hedge it, which means that any exposure to currency fluctuations after that is actually minimized. So our dividends in the Sing dollar, which I think what most shareholders care about, are protected, and I would say mostly hedged against some of the currency volatility that we're seeing. It is part and parcel of operating a large regional business and something that we have to take it. I mean, you are right. I think if you look at the first half, currency volatility as a result of the Sing dollar contributed to about 34 million in FX losses because of the strength of the Sing dollar. All other regional currencies actually depreciated against the Sing. In terms of the US dollar strength, we are less exposed there because we do not have businesses there. Of course, some of our vendors are from the US and they would transact in US dollars, but we would actively hedge many of those contracts. So relative to the strong US dollar, we are not as exposed. It's really across the regional currencies because we are a Sing dollar company.
Right. And Arthur, before we go, just a quick check on Singtel share price. In fact, it's just past 30% up year to date. Where do you see it headed?
I wish I knew. I wish I had a crystal ball. But Liz, when we announced ST28, which is our new strategy for the next few years, a few months ago, the markets received it well, and I think the stock price reacted positively on that news. I think the focus for us is to continue be laser focused on executing ST28. We need to continue to lift business performance across all our businesses, the 4 opcos that we own, as well as our 4 associates. And equally important, we need to manage our capital actively. And as a result, if we can do this too right, I think we will consistently improve our dividends. As we have seen in our interim dividend of 7 cents, that's a 35% increase from last year's interim. And on top of that, we still have 1.9 cents from last year's announcement. So we're going to pay 8.9 cents in total in early December to our shareholders. So Christmas is coming early for our shareholders. So we're optimistic.
All right, Arthur, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on CNA. Arthur Lang, Group Chief Financial Officer at Singtel.